Oh, it feels good. It does feel good to be back. We didn't go anywhere. Okay. It was just some Mercury, some retrograde,
Some eclipse,
some fucking
some
eclipse.
Aries
some,
in general being so just like no time to relax.
yeah, kind of, right? And that's, when we think about spring gearing up, when we think about it is just again living in a place with seasons, for example, like spring has now created just the weather getting nicer. It's so funny how plans are just like dropping into my lap out of the blue because it's like we've all been bears for the winter
Yeah, yeah.
and everyone's ready to get outside. And there's an energy in that and it's a busy one, right? Spring has sprung literally. And then it's the astrological new year. It's all extra loaded. One of the biggest total solar eclipses we've had. And we're not going to have one like it for another 20 years. Busy Aries season. Yes.
This Jupiter Uranus conjunction too, I was like really looking out for that. I honestly thought something bigger would happen. That's how it goes when you're like hyper fixated on the transits, but it happened right
Right.
on my moon. Only happens every 14 years where these two outside planets, Jupiter and Uranus, Jupiter being like the lucky, abundant planet, as they say, and Uranus being like the planet of shakeups, sudden breakthroughs, sudden insights coming
Mm-hmm.
together. Um, it, I guess, correlates with a lot of like big times of revolution. I
Right.
haven't fully gone down that rabbit hole yet, so I'm not going to get into it, but I did get a sudden opportunity to act exactly when that happened in a project.
Ayo.
But anyway,
Ayo.
yeah, but that was happening at the same time as all of this. It's just been like, I mean, they said April was going to be the craziest month of the year, and boy, oh
And
boy.
boy, has she been. Boy, has she been. Yeah. No, and then not to mention, so we've got a lot of spiritual astrological transits, energies, movements that's going to stir up obviously a lot of internal stuff, maybe even physical. If you're anything like me and you got super sick
Ugh,
around the total solar eclipse,
yeah,
again,
this
though,
keeps happening to you.
I'm choosing. I'm choosing. Well, I didn't get a flu shot, but that's besides the point. And every year I swear I'm going to get one because I will just get the flu. Um, Regardless of that though, the spiritual witchy talkies told me that I also kind of got maybe just like a spiritual download, some new energies along the way. So again, listeners, if you're also someone who maybe got sick around the total solar eclipse, you might just be spiritually tapped in a little bit. That's all. That's how I'm choosing to look at it.
Yeah.
um but then also, Heather, oh, yeah, that's right. Folks, welcome back. We've had a little bit of a break. I want to segue here to the intros. I keep meaning to do this so much earlier every time. Every time
I
I
feel
want to
like
do it so
you
much
always
earlier.
remember. Yeah, we're good.
Eventually we get there, right?
Yeah.
But we're back, baby. We've had on both ends just a lot of personal transits,
Yeah.
physically, mentally, emotionally. But Heather and I are back in the groove, baby. We're back in our wavelength, if you will. Um, Folks, Heather Cunningham, the astrological goddess of our lives, and me, Miranda. Just a little Pisces floating along and
My
absorbing it
favorite
all.
Pisces.
Oh, and most people's favorite Pisces, but we digress. Um, but yeah, then on top of all this, Heather, I just want to remind the folks of a little callback to you prepping us how
Mm,
we talked all back through winter, and the human calendar of New Year's and such,
the man-made.
about the man-made New Year. Thank you, Heather. Um, Say that again. But all the movements. I feel like at this point, if we've learned anything, it's that it's all in patterns, right? It's all in flows. Big transits happen, they bring big energies with them. But the first thing I thought about when New York City experienced a 4.8 earthquake, followed by a 4.0 aftershock, was Heather literally called this. I said, did Heather not say on our podcast, Hollywood Horoscopes, that also the year, besides just like the big energy transits, internal shakeups, spiritually, what that looks like. You literally said, not to scare anyone, but this also is like a year where like the physical earth is going through some transit herself, like some bigger energies within her, right? And that, after getting to safety, the first thing I thought about was Heather called this.
I want to roll back the clip if I can on
I
YouTube.
know.
But
we
yeah,
should,
no.
we should find it. Sorry. Go ahead.
My favorite astrology podcast does that. They'll be like, "We predicted this. Roll back the
Uh-huh.
clip." But yeah, no, Uranus, the planet of shakeups, and Taurus, the sign of earthy grounding, like literally nature. That's, I mean, and I don't think we're not to scare anyone, but well, I think it's all necessary. Or I mean, I guess I shouldn't say earthquakes are necessary, but maybe the larger
Well, no one died.
symbolic idea of grounding in and I think like,
Right.
global warming, finding new ways to appreciate and honor the earth.
Right. Right. Just like the way the whole, last year when everything was happening in the ocean, right?
Saturn and
And
Pisces.
and everyone was kind of like, we just need to leave the ocean alone for a minute.
Yeah.
Like the ocean could not be clearer that she's having a reset. Get the fuck out of her waves.
Yeah.
Quite literally.
Quite
It's
literally.
it's interesting. And respect, exactly, getting reminded the earth is, this is what, like, the conversation around global warming, for example, that's now become global boiling. I just love that phrase for us.
I know.
What I don't think people realize who are not taking, global boiling seriously, for example, the earth will be fine. She's done this before. She's going to be here long after we are.
Yeah. Yeah.
What I don't think people are understanding is that it's the human race that will not survive it. Like it's us. Like that's the issue. If you want, and like it's but again, with the whole underlying message of we are guests in this home. Like we are guests here on Mother Nature's earth. Like she deserves some fucking respect. Like,
or even yeah, even more than that, like what I was saying before we started recording, like who are we to think that we're even separate from it? Like, I don't
exactly
know.
that too.
Like it is an extension of, or that's even narcissistic to say. Like we are an extension of
her.
it. Yes.
Yeah.
So
like, by disrespecting her, we're only, again, exactly, by hurting her, we're gonna kill ourselves.
yeah, it's like being mean to yourself in your
Mhm.
brain is only going to cause acne flare-ups. I know this. Like,
oh, I cannot relate, Heather. Just kidding. No, yeah. I love how you just put that too. That exactly. It's a bigger idea of like literally what we put into this, we quite literally get out. Our human existence depends on her health. Like, why wouldn't that be at our on the top of our priority list? Why is any issue literally, I just talk about canceling TikTok in the Senate. Are you fucking joking? Get some global boiling precautions out there. My God. It's not, the earth will be fine. She'll survive. She'll kill us off and she'll welcome in a new energetic being that maybe won't disgrace her. I don't know. I'm just like, I don't get how people don't get it. But again, I think it's a much bigger concept. I think it's pretty big brain stuff. You'd think it's small brain stuff. You would.
I know to us Pisces Aquarius people, it's very like hello, but
hello,
like yeah,
we are birthed from her. How dare we treat mother like this? Yeah. No. God.
But it's all very the idea of like us coming to our senses around or waking up to I don't know, government trying to keep certain things from us, or even the TikTok shit, like trying to distract us from shit that doesn't matter when there's like other shit that does matter. I feel is very Pluto and Aquarius. And I guess in May, Pluto is going to start retrograding through Aquarius. And retrogrades are always sort of like a rewind, reflect. And Pluto is the planet of revealing secrets, and it's Aquarius. So it's about bringing us back to humanity, not so much Capricorn of like the rulerships. I didn't articulate that very well. But
No, but
I'm excited to see how this Pluto and Aquarius, you know, I just feel like all of this really resonates with those themes, and I'm excited to see how it continues to unfold. I want the best, but excited from my astrological, you know, mindset. Maybe excited's not the best word, but
no. I also, real quick, Heather, before I move forward, do you mind dumbing that down a little more for me really
yes,
quick?
please
So like
tell me to do that. Yes.
when you say say it again. say it again.
Okay, so
Like what's exactly conjuncting?
So Pluto has been in Capricorn, right? For the past like 20 years, but for the past like 2 years, I believe, I think it's been the past 2 years, Pluto's been inching its way into Aquarius. And I am almost positive it's next year when it finally is in Aquarius for good because it retrogrades. And it moves so slowly. So it was in Capricorn for 20 years. Capricorn is a sign of authority and responsibility. And that doesn't necessarily mean that those in power carry that highest regard of Capricorn responsibility. But I think that that's something that was an age we were in for the past 20 years. Now we're entering, as Pluto enters Aquarius, all the astrologers are saying it's going to be way more about people first, community, like those Aquarian themes, rather than hierarchies, rulerships, like government. And Pluto reveals secrets and reveals the dark underbelly of stuff because it's Scorpio's planet, and insists on total transformation at like a, you know, ground up level. So yeah, so anytime we're dealing with these themes in life of like, yeah, us becoming suspicious of the government, of those in power, of coming together and realizing that we as a collective have more power just as a community than they're able to have over us. All of these things are very Pluto entering Aquarius.
And then, thank you. I wanted that. I know we've talked about this a million times.
No,
I just
but
wanted to, I know it's been a while since we've done one of these. I wanted to reiterate that. And then correct me if I'm wrong. But as you said, because this is like the first real time that we're really seeing Pluto sort of sticking into Aquarius, not just sort of visiting it, there is going to be a moment towards the end of the year, literally around the election, if I'm correct, if we want to apply it to
no, it's all
America,
happening so synchronistically. Yeah, it's insane.
Where it's going to slip, it's going to dip back into Capricorn just for a little bit.
Yep.
That just, again, we don't want to scare anyone. That's not a bad omen.
No, but it's fucking crazy if you detach and look at it. Like, the timing of it all is so fucking insane. This is why I love astrology. It's just like, it's crazy.
It's a major fork in the fucking road on so much that it's just, so sorry, Heather, real quick. I wanted to tangent into, I don't know a single person, and I'm not just talking about TikTok. Yes, of course, we know how much I love that app personally. Again, as a consumer of it, I am to consume on that app. It appears not to be consumed, but well, more on that later. But I just, even with my friends in real time and in real life, coworkers, friends, even my own parents, the conversation almost, and maybe it's me, it could be me making it go there, but I feel like I can't have even a conversation with anymore without it just being brought up how fucked so much of everything is. Mainly our system, how fucked it's been for so long. So not even, well, yes, politically, but not even just how much we are so aware that we are in the late stages of capitalism, for example, and how aware we are of how much that not only does not work for majority of any of us, we do not want to continue down that path. It is not just like a, this
actually
sucks.
Haven't we reached the point where it's like inflation has gotten so insane that we like literally can't, we
it's
like
just
have to,
without there being a major revolution, or without them just fucking taxing the fuck out of the people they need to tax the fuck out of, Yeah, like it is just at this point, it's just so it's all anyone I know talks about is
Yeah.
just like times are there's so many reasons why times are hard, but the underlying thing for I think most Americans right now of just how impossibly skewed this game is, how uneven. We always knew it was an uneven playing field. Now we're at a perspective of like this is like they want us dead. Like it just like there's
Yeah.
just no
Oh,
other
yeah.
we don't know how else to look at this, but like they want us dead. And
Yeah.
so yeah, I'm really seeing like that is not that I'm all excited. Like that's, nobody's excited about having to we wish the system was already changed, but you know, it just there's just so much the birth rate right now is so I was just hearing something recently too that it's like, the whole Roe v. Wade, like a lot of like even just abortion laws. This is an example. Um apologies to the hardcore Republicans that listen to this. I don't think they do, but like like I was just hearing recently too, the abortion law isn't even about religion or giving a fuck about actually, babies. It's because the birth rate for our generation right now is so low. The birth rate for Americans is so low because we cannot afford to have kids. So again, lower some shit, bring the prices down
Yeah.
if you want.
Yeah.
Like again, it's this idea of like anyways, the birth rate is so low. I just saw something recently that was like, this is why the abortion laws are being pushed the way they are because they want to force low income um, people to have children so that we always have a workforce.
And can always
That
just buy more shit,
I
more
just
people to
like,
fucking
right. Again, because we're just not humans to them. And
no.
I know it's been this for a long time, but it's to a place now where we just can't live like this. Like we cannot live like this. And our generation can't afford to have kids. So
Hmm.
we've got the time. We've got time.
Yeah.
And we'll be happy to let this all end if that's what y'all want. Like we're not
Yeah.
gonna have kids to keep the race going anyway. So why are we, I just the curtain has been pulled so far back in the last 4 years. It is, and again, I know it's kind of a joke at this point, but the fact that so many Americans feel like they've been more educated in the last 4 years due to like the internet is than the education we ever got growing up here. That's
Hmm.
obscene. That's disgusting. It has to change. You can't draw the curtain closed anymore.
No,
Like
you
change
can't.
isn't upon us. It's here.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
we're in the middle of it. I think we're in the eye of the storm right now.
Yeah. And
Like it's the calm
Aquarius,
or the calm before the storm.
totally, totally. Aquarius also rules technology. And I think it is cool to think about like the internet becoming this like platform that reveals, yeah, you can't hide shit. You just can't. We have
Yeah.
like all the knowledge we need. Um, yeah, I just finished listening to RuPaul's memoir, and although he's not an Aquarius, he's very, very Scorpio.
Mhm.
So much of what he talks about and so much of like the way he just like speaks about his identity and stuff feels very Aquarian, and the whole like theme of the book is what he preaches on Drag Race and everything, which is just like it's all a game. Like this is all everything, it's all a game. And like I just like love that idea so much, and it's something that I talk about with Jake and my therapist all the time. Like, yeah, well, it's a fucking game that I didn't ask to be a part of, and I just like
Yeah.
hope that
We did
that is
not opt
more
in.
the
Yeah.
discourse. I feel like it is. I feel like nowadays people are more like thinking of life that way. Like
It's a beautiful
also when you have
thing.
so much debt, how can you not? It's like you have to just be like reframe like
Yeah, we're not getting by like we used to. We're
monopoly.
really
Like
not getting by. So it's like on so many levels. There's just so many things that make me I don't want to be a grumpy old lady, but there are just so many things that I find myself being like, why the fuck am I playing a game if everyone else is cheating? If all like, like that's another thing too. I think we're
or if I don't
realizing
want
is
to
that
win at it even anyway. Like what is
like
the
how do I
prize in the
there's no
end?
opt out. There's literally how do I unsubscribe,
Yeah,
and
literally.
that there is yeah, I just but I love it. I love that this huge awakening is occurring. It's been a long time coming. There's still quite a few people who need to wake up. But the system doesn't work for a majority of us that it can't be ignored anymore. And there's not even enough of us getting by anymore to be like, well, like it is just kind of like, this is pretty fucking bleak. It's pretty bleak and it just simply doesn't have to be. And yeah, nothing comes for
Yeah.
free and big change doesn't happen without
Without a
drastic
hurdles
measures,
and yeah,
right?
and some
But it's
usually
upon us. It really
yeah,
feels like
totally.
we're in it now, less than it's approaching. Like I really do feel like we're in it. There's like the little, like all the little micro, what am I trying to say? The microaggressions too, of like fuck the man. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, like
Nobody
it
wants
just
it to be
feels
like this.
like
It just
I know.
is. It has to be. Like,
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
before
Yeah,
I get
no,
all rambly.
totally. I know. I even thinking about the Quiet on Set documentary and like celebrity culture worship, and granted we are doing Hollywood horoscopes, and I like
Right.
think it's worthwhile to study celebrities and their natal charts. Like but uh yeah, I don't know. I feel like that is such a thing too, or just like this idea of us being humans and not products being
Uh-huh.
like an emphasis. I don't know.
Uh-huh. And even like I don't want to make this all about TikTok. I'm really trying not to. And I promise that's not all I do all day, but I find myself I do find myself vibing with a lot of the conversations that are happening on that app that then makes me have these conversations in real life and realizing I'm not alone. This isn't just an internet
Right.
bubble. What am I
Yeah.
trying to say? Yeah, or echo chamber or bubble.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
And what's been so shocking is talking to my boomer parents about this kind of stuff, which I feel like I used to kind of almost not be able to. Maybe I've just worn them down enough by bitching and moaning about a lot of things. But, even my own like parents are like, it wasn't like this. It wasn't like this. Like
Yeah.
the fact that my mom was able to even, move out at 18, just for an example, and be on her own, like that wasn't an opportunity really for me in the same way. I was reading Just Kids, the Patti Smith book, which I've read before, but I love it.
Mm.
It's a book I always go back to. Um, but like she talks about too, like, she was able to move to New York City. This was also the 70s into the 80s and work a part-time job. Like, I don't think like it's just not like that's also, of course, just one example, but like the boomers are still in this with us. So many boomers are still working
I
who should be
know.
retired.
I
And like,
know.
not to make this all about that. I want to be very clear that these are obviously like, pressure point examples, but the general consensus is that the vibes are bad. The vibes are fucking off and our generation wants to fucking relax. Not even relax.
Mhm.
I don't mean it like that. It just means our generation just really wants to kind of weed out the bad vibes. And unfortunately that looks like weeding out an entire system and everything we've been told and as we've been built on, and the way we're embracing that change is fucking, I'm just so proud of our generation. I'm so excited and moved and energized to see so many people our age and even not our age just embracing the idea of more and better because we can.
The Pluto and Scorpio generation, which Scorpio literally is total fucking transformation, just like
Yeah.
total.
And
Let's get to
it's
the
not
depth.
from a place of like, this is boring, let's change it up. It's from a place of, this is so bad, we will not do this to our next generation. We will not continue this way. um it's beautiful. And it is going to be us, unfortunately. Like, thank God we're the Pluto and Scorpio generation, because who the fuck else was going to
Right on
do it?
time. I know.
Literally, who else was going to do it? We're
Mhm.
not to shit on the generations before us, but
Yeah.
like, who else is going to do this but our generation and the younger generations? So like, there is, yeah, not to sound all narcissistic with it, and
No.
I think everyone would much rather be in a place where the system's figured out and we can all fucking just, this isn't at the forefront. But
It just like is how it is. It's when Pluto was in
It's in the
Sag, we had
stars.
MTV Cribs and we had like things where, no, literally, but literally when I think Pluto and Sag, I think MTV Cribs. It was the time of abundance and we're just not there anymore.
Right.
And
So
we're
many people can't even watch. It's like literally people talk about the Hunger Games. I think I've brought that up before, where it's like at this point, celebrities do just feel like the capital, for example. Like we are so detached and disconnected. Um, and it's been a really like short amount of years that we saw that disconnect, I think,
Mhm.
especially from through the internet.
Yeah.
2020, it wasn't the same watching these fucking celebrities in their fancy ass homes with their pools and their tennis courts talk about staying inside right now. Like that, I think, was the huge disconnect and detachment that's very necessary. I'm
Yeah.
just, we're getting a grip
We are. We
and it's
are.
here and it's not approaching. It feels like everyone wants a piece of the grip. Does that make sense? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
everyone wants to white knuckle this shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're ready.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful, it sucks that it has to happen, but it's also a really beautiful it's in the stars.
Mhm.
It's already written, baby.
It is.
Um no, it's just
The
yeah.
rest
I'm
is still unwritten.
you know what I mean? You know what I mean? And a pocket full of sunshine, bitch. Let's get it. But with that, we're coming in strong, folks. We've had some time off. You'll have to excuse the ranting and rambling, but it's not going anywhere.
No, it's
Um,
not. Yeah, we still have Mars and no, Mars is in Pisces. I keep thinking Mars is in Aries. Are there any planets in Aries right now? Venus is still in Aries. We still have some Aries rumblings.
we sure do. And that's why Heather and I really we wanted to double down. We wanted to make sure we do this last Aries hurrah, especially with this next birth chart, I gotta tell you. But also in the way that we're really shifting into Taurus now. So I'm just excited for these sort of last bit of fireworks before we go into the grounding motion of moving forward. This is gonna be a very Aries episode. We don't give a fuck.
Yeah, how about that?
How about that? Pluto and Scorpio generation. We don't give a fuck, except we do. That's the thing.
Yeah, yeah,
We don't
yeah.
have time to give a fuck about the surface level shit. We are deep in the depths of
Can't help it.
Scorpio. We've got bigger things. We got much bigger fish to fry. Yeah, no, I'm very excited for this next birth chart. Real quick too, Heather, before we move on into more of the transits information and of course this birth chart, we must give a shout out to the
Oh,
one, the only Alexandra Nightingale.
our biggest fan.
Our biggest fan has not ever stopped listening, won't ever stop, loves us dearly. I had to have a FaceTime with her, a very impromptu, drunken FaceTime with her.
Cute.
The night that Tortured Poets Department dropped, of course, which ties into this next birth chart. But all this to say, the only reason I know of Chapel Roan, I want to be very clear, folks, is because of Alexandra Nightingale, who in her Libra sun. Oh, Heather, this is what I wanted to bring up. Oh my God. Also, Alex, Libra sun, Sag moon, Pisces,
Pisces
rising,
rising,
Chapel Roan.
Leo sun.
No, Sag sun, I think.
Really?
Oh, maybe she is Leo. Oh no.
I have to look it up
I
right now.
please do, because I thought I already did look this up and I wanted to say she was Sag. And then she's Pisces moon
Oh, of course she is.
and she's Libra rising.
Oh,
When I looked it up, but
interesting.
maybe I totally could have gotten this wrong, but she has Alex's big three.
She's a Leo.
She is Leo. Okay. So where Alex has Sag. Does she have the Pisces and the
She's a Leo
Libra?
sun, Cancer moon. Virgo rising? No, this is Dave Chappelle. Just kidding.
Like, was I that drunk? I looked up
No,
her
I'm just that in the Mercury retrograde. Wait. Is it not on here?
I wanted to
It's
say
not on Astro Theme.
she's given it. That's what it was. She wrote it like on her Instagram.
I
think that's
see.
how I
Oh, you're
found it.
right. Okay. So, she has a lot of Aquarius.
Mhm. We knew
Oh,
that,
this is
didn't we?
saying Pisces sun, which would make sense. Sag
Oh my
moon,
God.
Libra
Okay, I'm the
rising.
idiot.
That's what it is.
Jesus.
But
Okay.
still, Alex's signs.
Jesus.
Pisces
That's
sun,
right.
Sag moon, Libra rising.
I literally forgot I knew that because I was so
She
bummed we
still
just
gives
missed her.
Leo to me, but also, yeah, Pisces. She has a lot of Aquarius and
We
an
will
Aries.
circle back to her chart.
Oh, she's all
Absolutely.
5th house, the house of Leo. Okay.
Ah, okay. So we knew it.
Yeah,
And
we'll have to cover her.
Heather predicted it again. But I just was like, I love her. Alex is the one who showed me her.
I will say Alex showed me her
Praise
too.
be. Alex
Years
Nightingale showed me
ago,
her.
years before she blew up into the
Literally,
sensation she is
Alex.
now.
Yes, Alex has like footage of a concert of hers from years ago. So Alex is like, of course, you know, in her Libra way, got to give her dues. Then I got to be the one to tell Alex she's literally your top 3. And she was like, that relates. I connect with her. Shouts out to Chapel Roan. Shouts out to Alex Nightingale. Shouts out to our last big, love you both. Shouts out to our last big Aries energy. Oh, Heather, shall we get into it?
Yes.
Oh, Heather, this birth chart we have here today. What a problematic, charming little king. Oh, Jesus. My For You page is full of this man right now. I am becoming a 1975 stan just because of all the footage that's coming out and all of the commentary around him and the music industry, i.e. Taylor Swift. We could not do him. We could not do him. The one and only Matty Healy.
Matthew Healy.
A literal Aries to a T. Like when you talk about people being their sun sign, my God, Matty Healy, to me, again, as someone who's never met this man once in my life, is a textbook Aries. Clearly, already, like even with the fandom, not to excuse or dismiss naughty behavior, but this sort of like it really feels like there's a polarizingness to him in the way that you either love Matty Healy or you hate Matty Healy. There is no in between. And that's how an Aries thrives. I must say,
are unapologetic, bold, fiery little monsters.
Action before maybe thinking.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I do think and then like saying sorry, but like with a question mark.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
like if that hurt your feelings, but do I regret it? No, I'm an
George
Aries.
Daniel's an Aries too, the drummer of the 1975 and Matty Healy's best friend and bandmate from childhood.
Since they were 13. That's crazy.
But I bet George Daniel doesn't also have Mars and Jupiter and Gemini. I mean, to be a Aries with Mars and Gemini also, that's like a double ounce of like speaking before you think, or just or just saying shit to be controversial, or
or
just
like
being a
actions.
little mischievous and just like enjoying that. Yeah.
But like, isn't that what we want from the leads of these bands?
You know,
I think I would love to see how many front men like in bands are fire signs actually.
Oh yeah.
Because the sort of like the rock star like trajectory, right? Being the front man of a band.
Wasn't Ozzy Osbourne a Sag? And I don't know. We haven't.
And
done
he
enough.
Snorted ants. He snorted ants and has just done a lot of. Didn't he eat a bat? Was that Ozzy?
Yes, right.
And
he
then
ate a bat.
Matty Healy ate like raw meat.
Yeah,
or something.
He tries to channel that. Yeah.
You know, personally, in my opinion, that's kind of what I want from my rock stars. Just
Me
like
too.
I want earth tones for my athletes. I want grounded, competitive, little shit talking individuals. And it's what makes this shit fun, right?
Yeah.
But
Capricorn LeBron James.
Please, my God, the most cap of cap. And then literally a father, and just really takes that role seriously and fathers the whole team, if I may, but then also his sons. Anyways.
Yes.
Right. Like it's kind of that perfect blueprint for like that's a rock star to us and sort of everything we understand it. Matty Healy could not be more Aries to me. But also, and yes, I loved what you just said about that too, Heather, real quick before we get into it. Like, unapologetically Aries, I've seen Matty Healy maybe in more interviews be genuinely very, like, what feels to me vulnerable
Oh
and
yeah.
honest,
Yeah.
and does not, as someone who just, like, I don't think I've ever seen him necessarily give like a black and white answer, um because he sits there and kind of like, not to, because I know, right, Aries does is maybe a little more actions based, but I've also just kind of never, when you say like unapologetically themselves, I've thought about him like in interviews that I've seen where I just do feel like he is just such a poet, even in how he talks. Like, and correct me if I'm wrong, we said he has a pretty strong Gemini
Mm-hmm.
placement.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Like, he is a writer. He's such a, I find him, this might be an unpopular opinion, and I don't blame anyone for disagreeing with me. I find him unbelievably intelligent
Oh
and
yeah. Yeah.
talented.
And
And
third eye,
mhm,
actually, a
mhm.
lot of their music is like
I
about global
find him
warming or the bigger
incredibly,
picture.
yeah. Yes, Heather. And I also find them, at least Matty Healy, and I do think a lot of the whole of 1975 really
Is
encompasses
him.
this.
Yeah.
There's a self-awareness. And again,
Totally.
I think a lot of people will like hard disagree, and I don't blame them. Um, but I can't, he's got this charisma and this sort of like cheekiness and this mischievousness. I just totally get, as someone who was really not a 1975 fan but is becoming one because they won't stop showing me videos. I'm like, all this app wants me to do is hate this man, but they keep showing me
But the
videos of him and
music
I'm
just
falling in love.
slaps.
Yeah. He's so talented. And we got to give a shout out to Taylor Swift because the Tortured Poets Department, which she released on April 19th, which was the official last day of Aries, turns out very predominantly Matty Healy is in it. So he is all over, the socials right now. And yeah, it's just very,
That was the day of the Jupiter Uranus conjunction, also. I wonder if she did that on purpose, which is
we've talked
supposed to
about
be.
this. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
We were talking about this, I know, a little bit before the podcast, Heather, not to make it all about Taylor.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, I do think she pays attention. A lot of her album releases are very wrapped around transits, like
Right.
big transits in the sky. She's a fan of eclipse season so much throughout her trajectory of her career. Albums have been released around eclipses, or just sort of, yes, bigger deals, specific moons, things like that. It was very intentional that she released this during Aries season for this Aries boy who broke her Sagittarius heart. In a way only an Aries could, right? Sort of, probably pretty. Honestly, again, Taylor refers to Matty Healy as her twin in one of the songs. Again, this is just like the fan synopsis, but that the twin fire sign reference, which I know is, we all believe to be
Jake
about
Gyllenhaal.
Jake. She is still someone who, like, that reference, however, still applied here. And I think this man burned her in a way that only another fire sign could. Like, Taylor gets affected by her fellow fire sign lovers. Like, she really, the joke right now is that there's no breakup song about Joe Alwyn, the sweet baby Pisces. And I'm like, yeah, but it makes all the sense in the world to me that this Sagittarius girl who we know and love, of course, is going to make an entire double album about a fellow fucking fire sign. Those are always
Yeah.
her. Those are always the ones who take her down the hardest. Like,
I also
it
feel the
takes fire to
whole like
compete with fire.
God, like heartbreak from like a situationship or more of like a nebulous thing can be such a gutting, like more
Oh
of a
yeah.
gutting aftermath experience than
Mm-hmm.
like someone who was a stable partner,
Mm-hmm.
which is so sad, but I feel that.
No, it's universal for sure. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like almost everyone can relate to, right, something that you maybe shouldn't, you feel like that's funny that that was the thing that affected me most, but
Right.
there's so many universal
Probably brings
experiences of,
out the
yes,
daddy issues more. Anyway,
you know,
um
something. But with that, um but yeah, I just find him again not to I want to be very clear that offensive behavior is never should never be the option we take. However, this whole tortured poet that Taylor has kind of labeled him with, I feel like is so Maddie. And uh, there is just a lot of layers and context to him as a human being, but the Aries sun thing absolutely applies. Like, I
Yeah.
remember looking at him up a couple years ago, I think when him and Taylor were making headlines for dating, or like a year ago, whatever, when that was all happening. And I immediately was like, oh my God, he is so Aries. Um, he exudes
Yeah.
that. He just does exude that. There's
Yeah.
Aries is a very actions first, apologies later. Um,
Yeah.
and even then that apology might be with a question
Yeah, I
mark.
like how you say that. Yeah,
But
but it's
yeah.
very bold and raw. It's very him. But
Mm-hmm.
also, as I'm looking at this chart, he has
Yes.
Sun and Aries, with the Aries stellium of the Sun, Venus, and Mercury, which adds so much charm, songwriting ability. It's the planet of beauty and romance and art, and also the planet of communication together with the sun. That is a very powerful stellium in Aries, but in the 12th house. But before I dive too much into that, he also has his moon in the 12th house, right on the ascendant in Taurus and a Taurus rising.
Mm.
And I'm a fan of the 1975. I've followed them for years, and I think that I know that he's very into um I think he would even hate to use the word brand, but the packaging of the 1975 and making it like a specific aesthetic, and the
Mm-hmm.
when they did the like just plain black rectangle and how they've used that as like um a commentary on consumerism, but also like yeah. But
Their whole thing. And he
yeah,
goes
very
through like
Taurus.
the door. It's funny that you mentioned that.
Yes,
Sorry, Heather, real
yes.
quick. Everyone was making Taylor goes through a door during eras.
Oh,
Like there's like a door that she goes through at the very end of eras. And everyone connected that to the door that Matty Healy goes through, I guess, during the 1975 most recent tour and like their stage. So like
yes.
these
God,
fucking
that
fire
show, I saw it
signs.
at the Hollywood Bowl. It was fucking insane. Anyway,
Oh yeah.
with the set was so elaborate.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah. Anyway, so I know that
And even in
Maddie,
his chart, I'm so sorry, Heather. Even in his chart, though, as I'm looking at it, there's a rectangle. Like his his
true.
chart literally makes.
You're
Oh
so
my god,
right.
that's
You're so
crazy. Like it
right. That is
almost looks like
cool.
the that just
Yeah,
blew
you're
my
right. It is a
mind. Sorry.
rectangle. Yeah,
I
no,
could not.
that's good to point out. That's really cool.
Interesting.
But yeah, no, so I know that he's struggled with substance abuse and addiction. And I do believe he's been sober for at least over a year, maybe like 2 or 3 years now. I don't quote. I was doing some research, but he's been sober for a while now. But anyway, he's struggled with it. But yeah, all this 12th house stuff, they often say like the 12th house is hard because it's the last house of the zodiac. You kind of feel that Piscean weight of the world on your shoulders,
Mm-hmm.
and you live in that Pisces space of like you can't really get with reality, and you want to
Mm.
be in a more place of nirvana, but it's like you're in reality. And with the moon there too on the ascendant, and the poeticism and romanticism of life, but just like reality being so not what you want to be in.
Mm.
That they say, unfortunately, that with all those 12th house placements, like substance abuse or escape or addiction can be um, a way to cope.
Mm.
It's a very
Interesting.
watery, heavy house.
And he's
So
been
yeah.
pretty at the forefront, I want to say, of his like abuse of or like just his sobriety journey,
Yeah,
right? Like
yeah,
he's
yeah.
talked about it,
Vocal. Hmm.
open about it. Yeah.
Yeah. But then, oh my God, yeah, Jupiter and Mars in the first house in Gemini, which the first house is Aries' house of just identity. This is me. This is, my power through my myself, who I am. Having Mars there, Aries planet, and then Jupiter, the planet of expansion, larger than life energy in the first house in Gemini that just needs to speak and express and speak its mind, and, you know, but also very cerebral, very intellectual. That makes so much sense. I mean, yeah, I think that there's a lot of like rappers and comedians and people who kind of play these like larger than life characters in the public eye often have strong first houses, especially Mars in the first house is very, you're going to have that extra Aries punch of like Mars ruling planet in the first house of identity, which is like anytime you have any planet in the first house, it's kind of like almost like you can add that to your big three, because it just is such a, it's how you
That's
come
how
across.
heavy
It's
it
the first
is.
house.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I mean, it's a pretty like easy chart to interpret because there's
I was
just
gonna
these few
say,
pockets.
right.
But then yeah, the midheaven, the career point is in Capricorn. I think he's always taken his career seriously from the Saturn opposition at age 13 when he founded his band with his best friend George Daniel, and Saturn is also up there, Capricorn's planet of responsibility, so it's kind of at home in its own sign next to the midheaven, the career
Right.
point. And Neptune, the planet of music, they say, is right next to that,
Wow.
and gives such a spiritual, mystical lens. I mean, on top of all his 12th house stuff that I think also just puts emotions at the forefront. The moon on the ascendant is also cool. He's definitely doing the right thing with his life and
I was
discovered
gonna
that at the
say,
Saturn opposition. And like, I was thinking when I pulled up the chart, I was feeling like there should be more of like an 11th house thing or a friendship thing, because one of my favorite songs by the 1975 is The Guys, where he sings about like, you know, when we started a band, it was the best thing that ever happened, like me and my friends. I don't know, he's so about like his friendship and
right.
that being like a core part of the band. But I guess 11th house is more like community, and I guess his friendship really just is like him and George Daniel, like mostly.
That's interesting that you say that really quick too, Heather. Sorry. One of the little clips I saw at a concert was like a fan holding up like a sign that like said something about like hope you're okay, or like sending you a hug or something like that. And he even addresses the sign. He's like, that's so sweet of you to make. And I don't like, he was like, I don't even mean this rudely though. Like, I don't need that sign. I literally have my boys. Like,
Yeah.
and he wasn't trying to be rude to that fan. He was more just like, let me be clear with y'all. Like, these are my fucking boys. And
Mm-hmm.
like, we are a family. Like
Yeah.
he vocalizes. He's definitely very, that's at the forefront of so much, I think, of what that band means to him. And
Mm-hmm.
that, yeah, I didn't realize they had been doing it for that long. That's really special. Or
Yeah.
extra cute.
Yeah, I know. It is cute. He says that they're not about like, they like reject so many deals and commercial things that they're offered because really all they want to do is like make enough money to go back and play video games and make music and just like do it with their complete freedom,
Right.
just hanging out as friends. Um, Yeah. And then this Pluto in its own little area in Scorpio. So a Pluto in Scorpio generation baby, just like us,
Mm-hmm.
opposite the moon and ascendant, that gives some power and oomph, but also maybe like when it comes to the day to day rituals of work, which is the sixth house, adds that Scorpio kind of you're gonna want control but don't always have control, or there's like a dark underbelly to that area of life. Everyone has Pluto somewhere in their chart, and for him it's in the like daily rituals of work and health and taking care of yourself and stuff like that. But also Pluto opposite the moon is strong because there's a lot of power there, right, on the ascendant, like
Mm-hmm.
a person who's comfortable in that power in a way too, or can harness I don't know, can powerfully express emotions in a public way.
Which he does. And
Yeah.
I know that a lot of his like stage presence is people have talked about like is very performance arty, or it's like he's almost like playing a character. And now
Yeah.
like looking into his chart more and seeing that Taurus moon and that Taurus rising, like that makes so much sense that they just want to like make enough money to support themselves and like go be real humans. Like
Yeah.
as little, like they're already such a major band and the celebrity's already there, but the fact that they opt out of that's really that speaks a lot to me, especially because of his moon and rising being Taurus, and like that balance of this is where I need the groundedness. No wonder to me why like performance does become such a character for him. That's like where the Aries is
Yeah.
really reserved and gets to just totally let go.
Yeah.
But he does have Earth underneath it all, which is what I kind of always assumed, to be honest. Again, I know it's an unpopular opinion, but as someone who's very late to the 1975 and very late to Matty Healy, the minute I saw him on stage, my thought was, we've got a character.
Yeah.
And I bet this man is actually like, when you get him in closed doors, is maybe one of the most like one-on-one, very calm, intellectual, deep
Yeah.
conversation,
Yeah.
interested again in the quality of most things, not the quantity in like
Yeah.
in most
Right. Very
respects.
Taurus. Yeah. But at the same
Interesting.
time, trying to be a modern rock star. What does that mean?
Scott has to make it a character, honestly, probably to separate the two. If especially if that's the end goal, is like I want to go back home and play my video games or like be a real human.
Yeah.
Interesting. He's a fascinating creature, very talented, just so Aries. For better or for worse.
Yeah.
I'm like, not here, not here to but I just, yeah, I couldn't help but a lot of the content I'm getting about him right now, I'm feeling myself slip into fandom. But yeah, I just he's all the rage right now. He's being discussed a lot right now. The joke, a lot of like the people who are 1975 fans and Swifties, they're like in heaven. This is like
Right.
they're
Right.
they're getting all the context that's being brought up. And
Yes.
so again, if you're a 1975 fan, it is over now. Taylor's been very clear about that. This chapter is closed, but it's been a ride. It's just been such a ride. And yeah, what was she gonna write an album like this about Joe? Respectfully,
Honestly, you
from
need an
one Pisces
Aries
to
to bring
another,
out
like
that passion.
to literally right. Matty Healy.
Go listen to Petrichor, everyone. It's so good.
Yeah, I shall.
And Taylor's
And
album.
with that, Heather, shall we discuss these upcoming transits?
Yes, yes,
Give the
yes.
folks a
Kind
kiss
of
goodbye.
not as active of a week as we've had this
Well, we've
whole
earned a
fucking
rest.
month. We've earned a
Yeah.
rest, but at the same time, it's not like completely restful yet. We
Yeah,
have
how could it be?
this, right? We have
It's
this
April
full
still.
moon. I know, Jesus Christ. We have this full moon in Scorpio, which is kind of tonight as we record this Tuesday the 23rd, but technically I think it's early morning on the 24th, Wednesday. So Tuesday, Wednesday, this full moon in Scorpio. I guess as you guys listen to this, it will have just passed and we'll be in the aftermath of it, but it squares Pluto in Aquarius. Pluto is Scorpio's ruling planet. Pluto is about to go retrograde and backtrack through Aquarius. So this just adds an extra oomph. I mean, Scorpio is already arguably the most like intense, deep water sign. So full moon in Scorpio, square Pluto. It's just like a final, moment to really reflect and go into your shadows and release any emotional backlog that you need to at the start of this zodiacal new year. Then on Thursday, Mercury finally ends its retrograde, stations direct for a bit. So as it
Thank
ends its
God.
retrograde, things get better, but you're really going to feel things back to normal in like a week, especially because Mars joins Neptune in Pisces on Monday, April 29th, and Mars is Aries planet of action. Neptune's like the opposite. Neptune is like, we're just in the ethers, we're listening to music, we're Pisces. So again, there's like this, we're wanting to get back to normalcy, but there's still this like nebulous air, even come Monday. But also on Monday, Venus enters Taurus. Venus is Taurus's ruling planet. So that's really lovely. And we get our first little note, although the sun just moved into Taurus also. So things are already feeling a bit more stable. But I think
Right.
as Venus enters Taurus, that's an added sort of, all right, we're grounding in, we're finding pleasure in the senses, in the music, in the earth, and there's some calm ahead of us.
Right. And we've earned it.
We've
Like we
fucking
said,
earned it.
we're kind of in this whole big year's got a lot of loaded, energetic stuff. Let's take our calms where we can get them. And
Yes.
then let's just fucking Aries this sucker the rest of the time, or,
Yes.
apply it. But it's a beautiful transition. Aries into Taurus. We're here, baby. We're back. We're finding it. Love this time.
Yes.
And love you, Heather.
Love you so much. Love you, listeners.
And we love you, listeners. Infinite abundance. We will be back on track and seeing you next week.
Bye.
Love you.